Hi, first graders, and welcome to Number Corner. Like we mentioned in yesterday's video, today is actually the first day of May. It is May 1st, 2020. But we have one more big important April Number Corner job to do, and so let's jump into it. First graders, we've talked a lot about different shapes in our calendar this month, and I need your help sorting these shapes. We're going to sort them into two main groups, shapes that are quadrilaterals and shapes that are not quadrilaterals. What is a quadrilateral again? Yes, a shape with four sides and four vertices or four corners. Those are shapes that are quadrilaterals. I'm going to put my mouse over one of these shapes and I need you to tell me, is it a quadrilateral or not? An ellipse. You're right, it is not. What about this shape here? It is. It has those four sides and four vertices. What about the shape right here? No, this is a type of pentagon. What about this shape? Yes, a square is a type of quadrilateral. What about this shape? You're right, a circle is not. What about this shape? Nope, this shape has way too many sides to be a quadrilateral. It has more than four sides and more than four vertices. What about this shape? Yes, a parallelogram is a type of quadrilateral. What about this shape? Nope, a pentagon is not a type of quadrilateral. What about a trapezoid? Yes, a trapezoid is a type of quadrilateral. What about a rectangle? Yes, a rectangle is a quadrilateral. What about a rhombus? Yes, a rhombus is a type of quadrilateral. What about this shape here? You're right. This is a type of hexagon. It is not a quadrilateral. It has more than four sides and four vertices. What about a triangle? You're right. It is not a quadrilateral. It has less than four sides and four vertices. What about a square? Yes, it is a type of quadrilateral. When you're thinking about quadrilaterals, you're thinking about shapes that have four sides and four vertices. These are all different shapes, but they are all types of quadrilaterals because they all have four sides and four vertices. Right now, let's compare our two sides. Count by twos with me over here. We have 2, 4, 6, 7 shapes. 2, 4, 6, 7 shapes. If I was going to compare those with a sentence, what would I say? I would say 7 is the same as 7. You got it. These two areas are equal to each other. All right, first graders, we're going to talk about days of school now. Today is the 142nd day of school. Can you count it up with me? 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 141, 142. When we take a look at this number, what does the 4 mean? 4 groups of 10 or 40. What does the 1 mean? 1 group of 100. What does the 2 mean? 2 ones. Say our equation with me. 100 plus 40 plus 2 equals 142. Very nice. First graders, the last thing we need to do is we need to talk about your number corner page today. You're going to find this page in Seesaw. Now, this page is going to look kind of small for you. So if you're having a hard time writing on it, or if you're having a hard time typing in your answers, you could write the equations on a different piece of paper, and then in the end, just take a picture of that piece of paper with your answers. That would make it a little easier for those of you who are having a hard time using the pen feature to write it in, or you think it might be too hard to add that many text boxes. It would be okay to rewrite it on a different piece of paper. But I'm going to zoom in quick so we can take a look at the different sections up close. Now, this number grid is here to help you out. It is a resource for you. Your big job comes down below when you are solving these different equations. You're either going to be adding groups of 10 or you're going to be taking away groups of 10. Now, you're going to notice when you subtract, you're always going to start with that bigger number and take away that group of 10. But in the adding equation, sometimes the 10 is second and sometimes the 10 is first in the equation. Remember, use what you know about addition. Even though this 10 comes first in my equation, I know it's easier to start at the bigger number, and 25 is bigger. And then I could add my group of 10. So, for example, if I was going to try solving this, and I'm going to think about this one right here, the 10 plus 25. I might find 25 first. And then I know when I add 10, I just jump down. So 10 plus 25 is 35. This was a lot easier than if I would have started at 10 first. Let me show you what I mean. If I would have started at 10 first, then I would need to take my jumps of 10. So I know 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I still got to that same answer, but it took me a lot longer and I had to go through a lot more steps. This way, it could be easy for me to lose my place on the number grid. I always want to remember to start at my biggest number and add from there. So in this case, 25 was my biggest number, so I found it on my number grid. And then I added 10, which means I got to just take that jump down my column to 35. I was able to do that in 2 steps instead of having to take 3 or more steps to get to that answer. Remember, when you're adding, you always get to move down the column because the numbers are getting bigger. Your number in the tens place is increasing. But when I go to solve my subtraction problems, I know it's going to be different. I'm going to be going back up the column where the numbers are getting smaller. So for example, I'm going to focus on 96 minus 10. Just like before, I'm going to find my bigger number. But when I take away a group of 10, I'm going up the column. And I ended at 86. Now, first graders, there's on the bottom of the page, there are some challenge questions. Challenges are just that. They're challenging. They're going to be hard or they're going to push your thinking. The challenge questions are optional. So if you start looking at them and you're like, oh, these are just too hard for me, stop. But if you think you're ready to take on a challenge and to stretch your thinking, go ahead and try these. These are all a little different because you're having to solve for the beginning number. Remember, when we're trying to solve for a beginning number or beginning value, we usually have to do the opposite operation that it's telling us. So if I had to add to get to 43, I'm probably going to need to subtract to get back to that starting number. Or if I needed to subtract to get to 77, I'm probably going to need to add to get to the starting number. First graders, you can also think about our number trees to help you out. So when I add, I know my biggest number is in the back. So if I was using my number tree, I know 43 is going to be on the top. So I know one part is a mystery to me, but the second part is 33. So I could think to myself, if I'm at 33, how many more to get to 43? I can do the same thing when I'm looking at a subtraction equation. I know when I subtract, my biggest number is the start. So in this case, I'm going to have a question mark there. I know one part of my branch is 10 and one part of my branch is 77 because those are the two smaller parts that make my big starting number. Well, right away I can see to get to that big starting number, I'm going to need to do 77 plus 10. Again, these are optional. If you're ready to take on the challenge, go for it. But if you get done with these top two and you find the bottom two challenging, stop where you are. All right, first graders, very nice work, and we will see you next week.